All right, welcome back to the Naval News segment for today. Today we're going to start with a little bit of sobering news. Sadly, a U.S. Navy helicopter crashed off the coast of California on Monday, and the crew is missing. 5 sailors are missing after a Navy helicopter crashes, reports Sam Legrone from the USNI News. This is an example of the helicopter that crashed. It's probably not the exact one. From the piece, it says 5 sailors are missing after a Navy helicopter crashed off the coast of California on Monday, U.S. 3rd Fleet said. One sailor from the MH-60S operating from the aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, was rescued, and the Navy and Coast Guard assets are searching for the missing sailors. So they managed to get one of the crew. That's outstanding. The helicopters crashed into the sea while conducting routine flight operations approximately 60 nautical miles off the coast of San Diego. That's a common training area right there between San Diego and Los Angeles. There's there's a couple islands, and our naval training, live fire training area is all around those islands. Presumably that's what the Abraham Lincoln was doing, some sort of training at sea, whenever this happened at 4:30 p.m. On Monday. So at least it was daytime when it happened. That aids in, finding the sailors. Clearly they found one. Sadly, at the time of this recording, it's 2 days later. So anybody that's been in the water, even warm water, for 2 days is going to be very exhausted, even in a survival suit. But hopefully they find the other survivors. Yeah. From the other piece that says, San Diego, currently one crew member has been rescued. Okay, that was just an update right there. The Abraham Lincoln completed a record-breaking deployment last year and has started the basic phase of the deployment cycle of completing a 6-month repair period in April. Yeah, it's very common. Obviously, she comes back from this huge, long deployment. They're repairing all the systems on board the ships. Presumably, they're repairing the helicopters as well. It's not clear. There's no indication if this helicopter was a part of that deployment or if there's any relation whatsoever. We don't know that, so we're not going to speculate that. But there are 5 sailors in the water. One was rescued, so perhaps 4 sailors in the water. I hope they find him. What do you guys think about this? These training accidents, assuming it was part of training, sadly happen. Training for war is sometimes dangerous. And anytime you operate a helicopter, you're taking a chance because, the thing works basically by magic, But no, if you lose any kind of control on the helicopter, it's obviously not, it doesn't have any glide slope like an airplane may have, where you can glide to a safe spot or slow down before you hit the water. Unfortunately, helicopters don't work that same way. So if something mechanically goes wrong with a helicopter, there's not a lot you can do about it. Hey Man Ganais says the helo and fixed wing quals take place off the coastlines all the time. Yeah. Hopefully this was, I guess it doesn't matter why it happened. I just hope they find the sailors at this point, right? The Lyndon B. Johnson just finished its in-serve trials. Great. That's good news. Okay, by finished, I hope you mean that they passed. That's implied. Yeah. Skeetos is here. He says, living on the coast of California, you see the Navy Marine Corps halos all the time. Yeah. Losing a whole helicopter obviously is not a common thing, but mechanical problems, whether it's in a helicopter on board the ship or even on board a submarine, that's what I mean. Those happen during training exercises, just as much as they happen during deployment. Stuff breaks. Sadly, this happened to be a helicopter in flight, which is not good for anyone on board. So hopefully they find them. All right, let's move on to the Fleet Tracker. Once a week, I bring you the Fleet Tracker, where we talk about where the American fleets are around the globe. We're going to start by taking a quick look at the map here. Obviously, we just talked about the Abraham Lincoln off the coast of San Diego conducting some sort of training operation right there, still doing that. The George H.W. Bush is at sea off the coast of Norfolk. So we'll see where she's going next week. She could just be doing a workup, or she could be beginning a transit somewhere. We don't know. That stuff is not public information. I do want to credit the USS Arlington, LHD-24, still off the coast of Haiti, conducting humanitarian aid there. For those of you that don't know, before Ida hit the United States, a major earthquake, like 7.5 on the Richter scale, shook Haiti and collapsed a lot of those buildings with people inside. A huge death toll, an absolute tragedy in Haiti is happening right now. And so we've sent a lot of food and water and medical assistance as well down to that country to help help those poor people out, because it's just a terrible, terrible natural disaster that happened to them. And we're in a position to help them. So, of course, we're doing that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the piece here. The Iwo Jima and Ronald Reagan are still in, what is this, the Sea of Arabia here, and supporting what was the withdrawal of Afghanistan. That's now over. And they're just operating here. We'll see how long they actually stay there. They could be relieved and come home soon. If they are relieved, it's probably going to be coming from the Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group. The Carl Vinson finally made it across the Pacific after a 2-week transit that we had been following here on this channel. They've pulled into Tokyo Bay, Tokyo Harbor, where they are right now. Oh, I guess they're in Yokosuka, according to this. According to the news, they pulled into Tokyo. So we'll see where they actually are once we get to the piece. The American Amphibious Ready Group is at sea, as is the Essex Amphibious Ready Group. So a lot of deployed Marines right now. Like, the Marines are ready to go. We're showing, I think, we're showing a trend of having an increased naval and Marine presence in the Pacific Rim area. This whole area right here, more so than, say, last year or the year before. And the reason for that, I think, is because of the aggressive posturing China continues to promote, into the South China Sea, and with very undiplomatic speak coming out of their leadership, as in they're not backing down, and we keep ramping up our military presence here. They're just not getting the message. Hopefully they get it before things go up. All right, let's begin talking about the battle force. We have 296 ships in the Navy. Before the end of the year, we expect to decom a Ticonderoga and commission an LCS ship. So it's going to end up balancing out at 296 by the end of the year, we think. All right, let's start with the North Arabian Sea. Here you have a bosun's mate with a dumbbell of 51,000 pounds, because he's a badass. That's how we grow him in the United States. Strong-ass bosun's mate there. Knock you upside the head with that thing. It says bosun's mate Dylan Langnesis, I can't say his last name, observes flight operations on board the USS Ronald Reagan in the Arabian Sea. That looks like some kind of, oh, that's the weight. That's the weight of the plane. Okay. How about that? That's what that 51,000 means. Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group, guided missile cruiser Shiloh and the Halsey are still operating together with the Iwo Jima group there with them now. Back on board the aircraft carrier, here you have bosun's mate. He's not calling in an airplane. He's trying to have a brief before they do an evolution in the hangar bay there. So he's calling everybody to come over to him. He's got his little safety plan brief right there, and he's going to conduct a little meeting. It says here, bosun's mate second class Rospin Constant directs sailors to the hangar bay of aircraft carrier USS Ronald Reagan during a replenishment at sea. So they're about to take on fuel or stores or both, and he's going to do the safety brief. Good stuff. Carrier Air Wing 5 is on board the Ronald Reagan. Here's Aviation Ordnanceman Airman Daniel Balderrama. Performs checks of ordnance attached to the F-18E Super Hornet fighter jet attached to the Dam Busters Strike Fighter Squadron, VFA 195. Very cool. There you can see the nose on the AIM-9. I don't know what variant that is, but this is a mean little missile. Short range, but it'll get you. Get close enough to it. Here are all the ships, the aircraft squadrons on board. You got the Royal Mesas, Diamondbacks, Eagles, Dam Buster, Shadowhawks, Tiger Tails, Providers, Golden Falcons, and Saber Hawks with the Shiloh. They've been at sea forever. That's a really cool photo. I like that one here. Here, the USS Halsey conducts flight operations in the Arabian Sea. Good photo. Moving to the Gulf of Oman, here's MV-22 Bravo Osprey attached to the Marine Medium Tilt Rotor Squadron, or VMM 162 reinforced. Takes off from the flight deck of the Iwo Jima en route to operations sometime on August 25th. These could have been part of the evacuation. I'm not sure what the range is on these, but as long as they can refuel in the air, it doesn't matter. The Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group of the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit are now back in the Gulf of Oman. At the height of the evacuation effort of Kabul, the majority of the 24th MEU Battalion Landing Team and Combat Logistic Battalion were ashore. Yeah, and sadly, a lot of those 13 service members that died on August 26th, photoed right here, pictured right here, A lot of them came from the Iwo Jima. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take a moment to just read the names of the 13 Americans who were killed during the evacuation of Kabul airport on August 26th, starting with from the 2nd Battalion, 1st Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, 1st Marine Expeditionary Force, Camp Pendleton, California, Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, 31, of Salt Lake City, Utah, and Corporal Utah Hunter Lopez, 22, of Indo, California, Corporal Dagan W. Page, 23, of Omaha, Nebraska, and Corporal Humberto A. Sanchez, 22, of Logansport, Indiana. Lance Corporal Jared M. Schmidt, 20, of St. Charles, Missouri. Lance Corporal David L. Espinozo of Rio Bravo, Texas. Lance Corporal Riley J. McCulcum, 20, of Jackson, Wyoming. Lance Corporal Dylan R. Marola, 20, of Ranchero Cucamonga, California. Lance Corporal Kareem M. Nokui, 20, of Noroko, California. From the 24th Marine Expeditionary Unit, 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. This is part of the quick reaction force that went in to help with the evacuation from North Carolina. Sadly lost Sergeant Nicole L. Gee, 23, of Sacramento, California. Talk about being called up, and just was her time, I guess. 5th Marine Expeditionary Brigade, Naval Support Activity, Bahrain. He was in Bahrain when this happened, but he was called and he answered. And sadly, Sergeant Janie Rosa Picardo, 25, of Lawrence, Mass. From the Navy, U.S. Hospital Corpsman Maxton W. Sovic, 22, of Berlin Heights, Ohio. Maxton was assigned to the 1st Marine Regiment, 1st Marine Division, Camp Pendleton, California. And Army Staff Sergeant Ryan C. Knoss, 23, of Corryton, Tennessee. Staff Sergeant Ryan Knoss was assigned to the 9th Psychological Operations Battalion, 8th PSYOP Group, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. Sadly, we lost those brave men and women during the evacuation of Kabul in a pointless, unproductive, senseless attack by ISIS-K, which is an Iraqi spin-off group of the ISIS organization. All right, here's a picture of landing craft Aircushion, or the LCAC 60, departs the well deck of a WASP amphibious assault ship, the USS Iwo Jima, on August 26th. Let's see, the Iwo Jima, Harper's Ferry, and San Antonio continue to sail together, as they have been for months now. And they're back in the operating with the Ronald Reagan. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so it's Yokosuka, Japan. This is the Carl Vinson, navigates Tokyo Bay while on the... this is why I got confused. It's just Tokyo Bay, not Tokyo, I guess. Huh. Okay, so the Carl Vinson Carrier Strike Group deployed August 2nd is in the Western Pacific operating the U.S. 7th Fleet. This was the first U.S. Navy deployment in of the F-35C Lightning II Joint Strike Fighter. Also, the Ospreys are on board the carrier as well, which is really cool that we see those tilt rotor aircraft on our aircraft carriers. The Carl Vinson is home ported out of San Diego. Here's a nice photo of a nighttime operation. FA-18F Super Hornet from the Bounty Hunters prepares to launch from the deck. And I was looking at this picture before the stream here. This looks like it's a double exposure to me, which is really cool that the photographer would take name. Even though they don't credit the U.S. Navy photographers by name, he still took the time to do a long exposure as they pulled him onto the catapult there. And then they closed the shutter. They raised the blast deflector, and then he took another shot of it, a delayed exposure, a couple milliseconds at least, of it on the cat. So you got the motion, and then you got it on the cat without getting the motion of the blast deflector. So it's a double exposure, probably 10, 15 seconds apart. Very cool effect. That's why this guy appears to have two heads instead of one blurry one. All right, on board the Carl Vinson are the Argonauts, the Bounty Hunters, the Stingers, Golden Dragons, the Gauntlets, the Black Eagles, the Titans, the Black Knights, and the Blue Hawks, all together working with them. The cruisers Lake Champlain are with them. Destroyer Squadron 1. Here you can see Culinary Specialist 3rd Class Damon Moran on the right, manning the gun. He's from La Cruz, New Mexico. And Gunner's Mate Seaman Logan Jones from Thomasville, Michigan. Hey, up here in Michigan, firing the .50 caliber machine gun in a live fire exercise aboard the Arleigh Burke missile. So this guy, he looks so young. I imagine that, he just probably graduated high school a year, maybe two ago. And now he's, he may be a cook, but he's also firing a 50 caliber machine gun mounted on one of the wings of the destroyer. It could be on the fantail too. Being overshot by these guys. Both these guys look so freaking young. It's crazy. He's having a ball. He will not forget this experience. He'll be telling stories on Twitch about it in about 25 years by the time he manned the gun. Yeah, good stuff. Now, with the carrier, with the Carl Vinson, we have a lot of destroyers. This is a ton of firepower. Not just the Marines that are out there with him, and of course the power of the aircraft carrier itself, but five destroyers. Dewey, Kane, Murphy, Chafee, and Stockdale are all touring or deploying with the Carl Vinson. In the Philippine Sea, we still have the Royal Navy aircraft carrier HMS Queen Elizabeth doing her thing. She's been there for months now. This is a very long deployment, halfway around the world from her home port, demonstrating the professionalism and capability of the Royal Navy. Very impressed with the length of the deployment. They visited Guam a few weeks ago. UK Royal Navy carrier strike group led by HMS Queen Elizabeth operated last week with the American Amphibious Ready Group 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, the CSG ARG MEU operation together last week as part of the large-scale global exercise. Remember, they were operating in the Atlantic and the Pacific at the same time, coordinating operations in an exercise. That's part of what LSGE was a part of. And we incorporated some Royal Navy assets into that. Really a great exercise. It demonstrates our capability of doing a world war in scope if we have to. UK carrier strike group includes the Type 23 anti-submarine frigates, Richmond, Defender, Diamond, so many ships that they brought over from England. That's a full fleet. They're ready to kick some butt. Absolutely. Okay. From the American Amphibious Ready Group, the ARG, that consists of USS America, New Orleans, and Germantown, with the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit embarked. This chucklehead's driving this really cool amphibious vehicle down the ramp. He's on the ready line. Look at that. He's ready to go. Kick some ass. This is U.S. Marine Corporal Lawrence Woodwall in a light armored vehicle. Part of the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit. The LEV-25 is into the flight deck of the amphibious transport dock USS Portland. Very good, very good. Okay, well, let's move on to Haiti. We're saving lives in Haiti right now. Really glad to see that we can provide assistance to a nation that's been pretty heavily devastated by earthquakes, not to mention storms and whatnot. I don't know if the most recent hurricane hit Haiti or not, but they were really hit hard with a 7.5 earthquake a few weeks ago. Crew members assigned to the Chargers Helicopter C Combat Squadron, HSC-26, prepare to distribute boxes of food to the locals there. I'm sure everybody in this picture is hungry, and we're giving them food and water, as we should. With less than 12 hours notice, the Marines and sailors embarked on the USS Arlington in support of USAID's effort in Haiti, says Major Mark Page, Executive Officer of the 1st Battalion, 6th Marine Regiment. Arlington also embarked pilots, aircrew, and mechanics from the Chargers of the Helicopter C Combat Squadron, HSC-26, and 2 squadrons of MH-60 Seahawks. Cool. So they can keep a constant rotation if they need to between the 2 squadrons of helicopters going ashore. Very good stuff. I'm glad to see that we're doing some humanitarian work. But with everything else that's going on right now, we find time to help other nations too. In the Eastern Pacific, this is a little bit of sad news where that helicopter had crashed. This is the new captain of the USS Abraham Lincoln. So this happened under her command, which must be devastating. She's only been the CO for about 2 weeks. And this, sadly, they've lost a helicopter for sure, and maybe some sailors as well. So Captain Amy Braunschmidt, incoming commanding officer of the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, reads her orders during the change of command ceremony. That's a very common thing. It might even be required during the change of command ceremony to read the orders to the crew. Because what you don't see off camera here is the entire crew that's not on watch is in formation, listening to the orders of the new captain. And she's also going to probably outline some of her goals, like what are her standing orders? What are the things that she wants to achieve and address? And standing in the background here, I absolutely love this absolute mountain of a man is Captain Walt Sarge Slaughter, successfully completed his 26-month tour as commanding officer of the Abraham Lincoln. He was the captain. This is the new captain, and he looks like he couldn't be happier. And look how many Legions of Merit this man has. He was awarded 2 Legions of Merit. So this guy, highly decorated and of course respected, United States captain, well deserved. I hope he goes on to become an admiral. We'll have to see. Maybe that's not his goal. Maybe he's achieved it. He's going to go on to civilian life. Either way, I support Captain Slaughter. What a guy. What an absolute stud. And this is the picture of a man who didn't pay attention in high school. Look at this. He's like, all right, what do we do next? And everybody else back here is no one's helping him. He doesn't know. All right, from the piece, Aviation Bosun's Mate handling First Class Carlos Sanchez from New York. Assigned to Air Department of the aircraft carrier USS George H.W. Bush. Oh, this is back in the Atlantic. Western Atlantic, yeah. Moves the training aircraft through the hangar bay. Oh, this isn't even a real plane. That would explain the lack of engines. Okay, yeah. So this is a training aircraft that they're just moving around. And that's why he looks so nervous. Okay, yeah. He's just getting some experience. All right, so the George H.W. Bush is operating in the vacapes. So that implies that they are doing training, that they're getting ready for a deployment. They're not actually going anywhere. They're just gonna do more training here. And that's it. That's all that they talk about today. But what a photo. And look at these. Looks like they toilet papered the hangar. Oh, man. These college pranks are getting out of control. Look at this. All right. What do you guys think of this? Really good news. I mean, like I said, I'm glad we're helping in Haiti. I'm pretty proud of that. Seawolf says the French admiral right there just missing the sash. Oh, with all his medals. Yeah. He's got so many medals. Yeah. And listen, the U.S. Navy, unlike what you might hear, they don't just chuck out medals for anything unless you're a yeoman and you can write your own award. And that happens. So don't deny it. That's how yeomans have 4 NAMs before they're at their 6-year point in the Navy. But yeah, I'm sure he had some high-ranking medals on his chest. Guys, I was pretty impressed with that. The first command action in dealing with that lost chopper. Oh, you guys were talking about that. Yeah, the entire crew boarded out. I was bored out of their minds. Yeah, they do look kind of bored, don't they? EMT Farva says, I just recently went down to Norfolk and flew over the bush. Oh, wow. Cool. So you got to get an aerial view of it. And Ozzy, coming at us from Australia, says, is there any public info on the PLAN, on what the PLAN are doing, military deployments and movements and exercises? I'll have to look that up. I don't have any information on that today, unfortunately. All right, let's move on to the next story. Let's go to that.